Okay, so that's the first little idea. Finding a percentage of a quantity, is also something you looked at in number skills. But because we're in investing, everything's going to be money, isn't it? Okay. So for instance, if we wanted 72% of
Is that quantity, sir?
Quantity?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
can't read it.
Too small? Yeah. Sorry. All right, bigger.
No. Is it quantity?
Yes, that's right. 72% of any number you like. So say, what's the most recent large purchase I had? Okay, so vacuum, pretty classy vacuum that I've bought was $850. Okay, so suppose I only had to pay. I got a discount, so suppose I only had to pay 72% of that. Okay, I'm going to use what I've just looked at with my decimals here because my button doesn't have a percent button, right? But it does have decimal buttons, right? So you see how these build on each other? So I'm going to go 0.72, that's 72% as a decimal, and I'll just multiply by whatever that amount was. And I don't know what that is, so let's just quickly work that out. 0.72. Okay, so you get 612. So that would be $612 if I had all of my units on there. Okay. Now do be careful because we're. Let me talk about rounding here because we looked at rounding under number skills as well. So suppose I had some weird awkward percentage. Okay, something like I don't know, 71.8%. Okay, that's a really awkward number, isn't it? Okay. Now if I take it of the same amount of $850, okay, what would this look like? Well, as a decimal, what would 71.8% be? Yeah, Nathan.
0.718.
Good, well done. You've moved the decimal place twice, and that 8 just trails along the end. Okay. Now, when I multiply that by 850, I'm expecting it's going to give me some weird-looking number. Let's try it. 0.71. Whoops.
154.
$1.50? Is it?
No. Wait, what? $1.51. No.
Oops. Let me start again. Okay. Sorry. So I get 610.3. Is that okay?
Wait,
Yeah.
0.
Is that what you've got? 0.718 times 850, okay? Now, 610.3 is correct from the calculator, but it's not an amount of money, isn't it? Because we don't say 0.3 cents or $0.3, right? So if I want to say this as a sum, right, I would need to say $610.30. Okay, so there are little weird things that are slightly different between money and decimals and percentages you have to watch out for. Okay. One last thing. Suppose after you got your calculator there, right? Suppose this number here was something unusual. Suppose, sorry, I shouldn't be using green. Suppose it was, calculator told us this. Okay, and it gave you a whole bunch of numbers after that. Okay. Because we're doing money, right? You assume you round off to the nearest 2 decimal places. Why 2?
35.
Because that's cents, isn't it? Right? So this would be equivalent to $610.34. You round off to the nearest cent. Okay. Please be careful. Been recently looking at a lot of Year 11 papers, and sometimes people see this and they automatically think, oh, if I have to pay for this, this gets rounded off to the nearest 5 cents, doesn't it? So a lot of people will write $610.35. Okay. Now, if you're paying in actual cash, that is what you would have to pay, right? But this is not this, right? This doesn't round to this. It's you've done something extra because of money. It's only if you're paying cash. If you're paying credit, you wouldn't have to round it off to the nearest 5 cents, right? And again, sometimes I see people round off to the nearest 10 cents or to the nearest $1, and sometimes people just pick it out at random, okay? So just be careful there, right? To the nearest cent, that's your default, okay?